Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Ruff, Alison McConnell with me here in the studio. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel and join the football family. And there's great news if you want to become a PLZ Premium member. Not only do you get additional content and prize giveaways, if you sign up to become one of our premium members, then your name is in the hat to head to Budapest for the 2026 Champions League final. Yes, you and a friend will give you flights, accommodation, as part of the package, 2 tickets to the final in Hungary. All you have to do is simply sign up for the season to PLZ Premium and you'll get access to that additional content that I was mentioning, giveaways, plenty of competitions, but this particular prize draw gets you in with a chance to win that dream trip to Budapest to the 2026 Champions League final in the Puskás Arena in Budapest. Roughly, does it get any better?
It's fantastic. I've been to Budapest. It's a very, very nice place to be, and the stadium as well. Fantastic prize. You know, if you're into football and you get a chance to go to a Champions League final, doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, absolutely. Good luck with that. Hopefully you can sign up. And don't forget also that on PLZ Soccer's Football Show, we have made our official charity partner Maggie's, and throughout the course of the season, we'll be featuring some of the stories of the fabulous work that Maggie's gets involved in across their 24 centres across the UK. So there's more on that. Couple of things I want to mention just at the start, which obviously sports related. Our thoughts, prayers and condolences to Eddie Hunter's family and friends. Eddie, 82 years of age, always associated with Queen's Park as a player and the manager.
Yeah, I think anybody that's been part of the Queen's Park football club when Eddie was there would remember him very, very clearly. He was very vocal, old school, you know, but football through and through, 100%, you know, morning till night, and was there a long, long time. And I'm sure a lot of, as I said, a lot of players that played under him would have a lot of nice stories to say about him.
And I know we are, you know, talking about football and especially Scottish football over the course of the Football Show Monday to Friday, Alison, but I think it's only right to mention that I think the sporting world is looking on and mourning the passing of a world boxing champion in Ricky Hatton. And the reason I mention it is because Ricky himself was a boxer who, when he finished up in the sport, had mental health issues. It was well documented, his suicide attempts. A very popular character, but it shows you the difficulties that sports people can face, you know, when they leave the limelight, when they have to basically try and adapt to normal everyday life, and sometimes have to adapt to the failures within their sport as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was pretty shocking news yesterday when it came out. Still a young man, essentially, when you think what age he is, and I think you just feel now for family and friends round about him. But you're right, I think it does highlight how difficult it can be to transition from being a very prominent sports person at the peak of your game and with the accolades that come with that, to then it all being in the rear view mirror and having to adjust to a new way of life and to try and adapt to a different kind of future.
Yeah, and the other thing about it, which is the key issue, which I think crosses the divide of boxing and any other sport you care to mention that we deal with, Ruffy, is quite simply that if you have problems with your mental health, it is something that you're advised to talk to people, talk to your friends, go and seek help, get that support.
Yeah, it's becoming more apparent now that these facilities are out there for everybody in any sport in life that you can tap into. I'm thinking 30, 40 years ago, I wonder how many people were going through with nobody to go and have a chat with, but now it's available. You can go out there. And particularly in the sporting world, because as Alison's touched on it there, the pressures at all levels are really, really hard to deal with. And I'm sure there's lots of people out there cannot deal with the failure or whatever, and it's good that they can have somebody to go to.
Yeah, okay, football is our passion, and of course right across the weekend Scottish football just keeps on giving. This is the results from the weekend in the Scottish Premiership. There you have Dundee 1, Motherwell 1, Aberdeen 0, Livingston 0, Rangers 0, Hearts 2, Falkirk 1, St Mirren 2, Hibs in a 3-3 thriller with Dundee United, and then Kilmarnock 1, Celtic 2. So the big question is this the year where one club out with the Glasgow's Big Two can challenge for the title or possibly split Celtic and Rangers? Well, that's off the back of the main talking point, which has to be Ibrox. Rangers losing the game 2-0 to Hearts. It's their worst start to a league campaign in 47 years with only 4 points. Incidentally, Ruffy, they could be bottom of the table if Aberdeen and Dundee win their games before Rangers play again on September 28th. It beggars belief.
Yeah. I'm sure the supporters, it's not something that they thought was going to happen. Yes, they got a new manager in, hadn't really bought into it, but he's certainly brought a lot of players in, and it's just not happening. I mean, I know Hearts won at the weekend. I thought they deservedly won at the end of the game, but there was a few talking points that we'll probably talk about that could have went Rangers' way, but it's not happening. When things aren't going for you, you don't get the breaks.
Russell Martin after the defeat.
I don't think many of them wanted me here in the first place. So professionally, it's difficult because we need the team to play in a certain way that requires certain things, and it's really difficult when the atmosphere is how it is. And the same towards me, not towards them. I'm trying to say that to them. It should hopefully take a bit off them at some point. But it is what it is. We'll keep working until I'm told not to.
Well, that's blunt. I think the majority of the fans inside Ibrox wanted him to go. They certainly made their feelings clear on it, Alison. In my personal view, I think Rangers are now actively putting together a list. I think it would be negligence on the part of the new board if they were not writing down the potential new Rangers manager, because quite simply Russell Martin has lost the confidence of the Rangers support. It wasn't there in great numbers to start with. He wasn't the man they wanted, and right now you deal with the evidence that's put before you. The stats don't lie, the performances have been woeful, and you don't see a style of anything emerging. That's why I think they're actively now looking for a new manager. It's just a stay of execution for me, because quite simply he would need to go on a run right now, which is, it would need to start immediately with something positive against Hibs and way beyond that, and I don't see that happening.
I think the crucial point here, though, is whether or not he still retains the support of the board. So it's abundantly clear that he's lost the support of the Ibrox support. You heard it, and not for the first time, on Saturday afternoon. You heard it loud and clear. Their dissatisfaction and their frustration at where the direction of travel is here. However, he has been assured up until now that he still retains the support of the club's hierarchy. How long they wish to continue with that, I think is something that no one really is privy to at the minute. We don't have an indication into what their thinking is, into how they view the fact that they have backed him financially. He spent a lot of money this summer in recruitment and bringing players in. So although we can stand from the outside and look in and say it's not working, the fans are in uproar, there might be question marks over whether or not he's also lost the dressing room. The fact is that it's the club's board who are going to make this call. I suspect if they were going to make a move, it would have come yesterday afternoon when the opposite came out, the fact that they were sticking by him. The obvious question now is, well, for how long?
Well, off the back of that, the Nico Raskin obviously comes into the equation. You know, he's sitting in the stands, possibly one of their best players, so that was a rod to scalp over his back. The other aspect of this as well, Ruffy, is quite simply, I think they're buying themselves time. They boxed themselves into a corner when they continually said, we can't go through this rinse and repeat of sacking managers. So that automatically puts you behind the eight ball, where you're automatically thinking, well, we said that, but we'll be guilty of doing it if we sack him so early on.
Yeah, I think at this moment in time they have to stick by him. You know, I think it doesn't look good on them if they sack him now. He's very, very fortunate that they're not sitting in that stand, because that's the telling point for directors and owners. When you're sitting there, you're listening to the boos, you're listening who the anger's getting directed at, and if it's directed at you, I'm talking about the American owners sitting there, then they'll get a feeling of what is actually happening. He's very, very fortunate they're in America. They're not at the game. They're not experiencing it face to face. But it will come a time where they will be at a game when they'll see the fans walking out, they'll see the fans, showing their anger, and then I think that's when you get a decision.
James Tavernier's the captain who time and time again has to face up to members of the media asking him questions about yet another disappointing performance.
I think football's changed quite a lot over the years. As in players, as in characters and players. Obviously, we've got quite a young team, so this is new to a lot of players that have came here. I can definitely say everyone's obviously ashamed in that dressing room, and deep down, obviously, I could probably say they're all angry. But so obviously, it's the senior boys that are obviously voicing that.
So the players at this moment trying to put on a brave face. I noticed Jack Buckland was out actually speaking to some of the fans outside. I noticed also that the manager took a fair bit of criticism from within that press room because, quite simply, Rangers, like Celtic, are two clubs who started allowing fans into the press room. Wouldn't allow it onto the board, but they'll allow it into the press room. And he took a pasting for a couple of minutes off some fans groups.
Yeah, I think so. I think the difference between a fans group and a group of journalists is that you have an emotional response when you have a fans group in. You get the mood of the support. You also have people then who have to go back and face mates that they are there to represent. When you're standing asking questions as a journalist, there's much more balance to it. You have to ask awkward questions and you have to ask difficult questions at times, but I think it's probably tempered with a professional element to it. But I thought it was quite an uncomfortable watch, the post-match press conference. I think at times, on a human level, it's very difficult not to feel for him. I think it's been a horrendous start to the campaign. There is no evidence that this is a team that's going in the right direction. Everyone is just now on death watch, if you want. Everyone is watching to see where does it fall down and where is the inevitable end, because that's what it looks like from the outside, that you've seen this movie time and time again, and you've seen that so few managers recover from this point of adversity and after such a poor start to the campaign. Also, when you come in and you're swimming against the tide, as he admitted himself on Saturday, you come in, you're not a popular appointment, you're having to win people over almost immediately. When it sours so quickly, I think it's very, very hard to get back onto a level playing field and try and get people back on side again.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for him, but he's dead man walking in this job. It's just a ticking clock waiting to see when the axe is going to fall. And the reason for that, and it's very harsh and very difficult to say, Ruffy, but the reason for it is you're watching the performance. And by the way, I think it's only right and proper that I point out to you that this should be, a time when we're concentrating on being positive about Hearts and what they achieved on the day, because they deserved their win. But because it's such a huge club and now the story is all about when he's going to be sacked, if he turns this around, he deserves his moment where he can basically wallow in it in a press conference. But I cannot see it. I think it's the inevitable. And I think that will come when there's more and more people outside those front doors at Ibrox. Yeah. They're not there at the moment in great numbers, but they will be.
Yeah, and he knows he's not daft. He's been in the game long enough. He needs to win games. He needs to win the games, as you say. He needs to win a right few games, to get everybody back on board. That is the only way it'll save him from it. I just don't think he's got the players on the park. He's brought all these players coming in. I would think 80-90% of them don't know about the club. They don't know the history of the club. They don't know what it's like to be in a battle for the club. I think they're all out there as individuals. They're all trying to do their own wee bit. And as I said on numerous occasions, I don't think enough of them know how to change it when things aren't going particularly well.
Yeah, quite a lot of people have their opinion on this. John says, Peter, would you trust Thelwell and co with the next appointment? Well, I think everybody is being scrutinised and certainly under the microscope for decisions that they make and whether they actually actually come to step up to the plate and produce something that the Rangers fans are crying out for. Hugh Scott has said afternoon, Peter, Alison and Ruffy, I don't like to call for the manager's head after 5 league games, but something has to change. No sign of improvement anywhere in the team. Could Barry Ferguson have done worse? It's one of those situations where it's painful to watch a manager when you know that he's under immense pressure, especially at one of the big clubs where you just cannot tolerate even being second to Celtic. But when you're a team that's sitting in 10th and potentially at one point could be in the next few weeks bottom of the table if other results went against you, then the pressure starts to mount. Even Derek McInnes, the Hearts boss, had some sympathy for Russell Martin.
I didn't like that today. It's so unfair in a manager. That don't like it at all. He is a fine man. He's a fine manager, and when clubs, especially clubs this size, when results don't always come, it's more than just the manager for me. That's tough on him. It's early on in the season. He's a new manager in, and likewise with myself, if I'm just in at Hearts and if we were still sitting towards the bottom end of the table and integrating loads of players and trying to kind of implement what we want to do, you'd be asking for that sort of understanding. So, and as managers, that's all we ask for.
Yeah, now, the flip side of this is Russell Martin's under pressure. They're sticking by him. He's got the dreaded vote of confidence. At the other end, the team who won the game actually are sitting joint top, Celtic ahead in goal difference, and Hearts deserve all the credit because it was a long time since they last won at Ibrox, and we mentioned they'd only won 6 since 1985, so that's number 7. And when things are going against you, Lawrence Shankland himself admitted in the build-up to the first goal he handled it on the halfway line. How they never picked that up, I'll never know.
Yeah, I thought there was they got away with one in the build-up to that first goal. You can see it when he goes to celebrate with his teammates. You can see him telling everyone, well, hang on a minute, and you see him looking across the line to say, is the goal going to stand or not. So they definitely got a couple of big decisions actually within the game, which isn't to take or detract anything from the performance. I think you have to give Hearts all the credit. They went and nullified Rangers and come away with the 3 points. We spoke about the mentality that would be required to do that, given the climate and how few times they had won at Ibrox. But also too, I think when you're looking at it from a Rangers perspective, I think there's so many questionable aspects to that display about that. Just there is a lack of any kind of commitment. Almost there's a lack of any application, any real belief. It's almost tangible. I think that you can sense the players just retreating into themselves and becoming inhibited by the noise that's around the stadium, by the toxic atmosphere that you can sense from the stands. And you knew if they didn't get off to a quick start and didn't begin well, you knew that it was going to invite that kind of atmosphere, and I think there's no question for me that then plays into Hearts' hands.
Yeah, and the other thing is, listen again, I thought Hearts, as you'll find out when you see my team of the week, Ruffy, and how many Hearts players are in it, but I thought they went about their business professionally. They looked solid at the back, although Rangers did have chances, and Alison alluded to it there, that goal that was disallowed for Rangers because of a challenge on the goalkeeper, I just thought was laughable.
Yeah, we had a wee discussion about that a couple of weeks ago at the Motherwell, where he was touched, if you want to call it. I just think this particular time, I think the Rangers player did attempt to foul him, but unfortunately for the goalkeeper, he got involved with him. He started trying to push him back, and when he tried to push him back, he took his eye off the ball, and for me, it's a goal.
Yeah.
And it's, the Rangers side will say, you get a goal at that particular moment in time, you might go in and win the game. But as I said, that's what happens when you don't get the breaks. Things don't go for you. But for me, it was a goal.
Penalty?
No, not a penalty either. That just shows you, how I know Hearts done particularly well done to them. But if you analyse the Shankland, the goalkeeper, the penalty, things might have been different. So, I know from a footballing point of view, that's what the Rangers manager would be sitting going, well, that didn't happen and that didn't happen and that. But they did happen. They did happen and there's nothing you can do about it.
One of the interesting aspects about this weekend and just where Rangers are is that I actually thought that not too much was made of all that by the support. I agree with you. I didn't think it was a penalty either. I thought the goal should have stood. Normally, in normal circumstances, you would have supporters and social media going on and on about all these, about these poor calls. You're kind of poring over it for days to come, and there's a sense of injustice around it. I thought that, although it was obviously referenced in commentary about the game, I didn't think as though that was as big a deal as it might have been in other circumstances.
Yeah,
I think
that makes it even worse for the manager, because they're not accepting hard luck stories.
Yeah, but
they're not accepting them. We got beat.
They're scunnered.
Yeah.
Rangers fans are absolutely scunnered. I mean, they've watched themselves. I mean, let's not forget, it's not just about the Hearts team coming to Glasgow and winning. They've been absolutely spanked in a European game as well, which I thought I looked at it and I thought to myself, he's lucky to still be in the job then.
Yeah, I think you felt it. You felt it for some weeks. The next game's a big one. The next game's a big one. We spoke about it after the point that they got against Celtic. Well, there are still, you're going to revisit this climate if they drop points to Hearts. Well, you're back. Saturday night comes round and you're back in the same movie with this tremendous noise around the manager, and of course it's not going to dissipate anytime soon. You've got a Hibs side now that they have to face in cup duty on Saturday evening. Walking out into that one, you just wonder what the atmosphere is within the ground. Who's turning up for one? Who's bought tickets for it? Who's coming into the ground? And again, if Hibs take a leaf out of Hearts' book, then you're just back in the same movie again.
He's not helping himself by going into every after the game interview and saying half of you didn't want me here anyway. That doesn't enhance anybody, so that just makes the people who say, yeah, you're right, instead of just no mentioning it at all and just concentrating on the football.
That's a difficult. I think he's asked a question. I think it was put to him. I think that was one of the bloggers that had said to him, "You're not wanted here. You're not. Are you going to resign? We don't want you here."
I don't think
really
that's
difficult.
I don't think that's good in a press conference.
I don't think so either.
Listen,
you're kind of peeing in the
The fans were allowed in the first place to intimidate journalists. It was nothing more. But now when you get to a situation, it come back to bite them on the arse.
Yeah.
Because quite simply, you're subjecting managers and players to a situation which they should not be subjected to. Yes, they should be subjected to asking difficult questions because it's their place of employment. But that's the nature of the game nowadays. But the other thing about it, Ruffy, is quite simply, he's now in a situation where the fans are looking, and I can't remember the last Rangers manager. And they've been sacking a few, but I can't remember an entire stadium bursting into, the song "Get Tiff," because they were all shouting his name. They were not happy, and you're not talking about a minority. You're talking about that stadium. There was a lot of Rangers fans just telling them where to go.
Yeah, we've heard it before at a lot of games, a lot of different games, but it's who it's directed at. That was directed at the manager. It's when it's directed at the board, and the board people who make the decisions. When they're actually sitting there, it's a really, really hard thing to get your head out of, that you then, 9 times out of 10, they say, right, we need to have a meeting after the game here. And then it depends how that meeting goes at a board meeting. Some people might say, yeah, give him time. Some people might not. And it's okay him saying I've been given time, but how many of the board, there must have been a vote or something. Yeah. How is he getting a full 100% vote, or are some people going?
The vote has changed, so people don't know, the elasticity of the new Rangers board. They're actually looking and saying, okay, how long are they going to go here? Where's that breaking point? My view on this whole affair now is the Rangers board, in my personal opinion, are sitting down and saying, right, let's get a list, because he's not going to last. The fans don't want him. The results are atrocious. It's just not good enough for what we want to do as a plan. What that plan is still vague at this moment. I think Rangers fans are expecting, and he has been backed with a fair bit of money.
But that's a £25 million.
Yeah, but I think they're now looking and saying to himself, he's not getting anything out of him, and he won't be the only one to be under scrutiny for signings if they don't step up and deliver. The manager, the axe may fall on him, but I think there are a few other people in there who've been appointed in high positions will be under scrutiny shortly as well, if this team doesn't start to click with a new manager in place.
Yeah, I mean, I keep going back to the Americans. They've invested in the club. They've put their money where it matters. You know, they want to see results. They want to be associated with a team languishing in the bottom six. They bought into giving money to the manager to challenge Celtic. They bought into winning the league or winning a cup. So they won't be particularly happy. But as you say, there has to be, there'll be a crunch coming. You know, could it be against Hibs, getting knocked out of the cup? You know, if the same was to happen. But you're right, he's just treading a line that he needs to win.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. Anyway, from Ibrox and a happy away support in Hearts to Rugby Park, where quite simply Celtic knew that if they won against Kilmarnock, they go 9 points clear of their greatest rivals, which, you know, when you consider we're not out of September, is all the more amazing. And when they did, but no shortage of talking points in this one as well, because only Celtic could come up with a situation where they're 9 points clear and the fans have boards out, sack the board. I mean, the fans are not happy, and they've clearly got three people in mind: Dermot Desmond, Michael Nicholson, Peter Lawwell. You can switch them in any order you want, but they want change. They want a change of attitude. They want a change of board. They want them out. First and foremost, let's ask the question, did the 12th minute protest achieve anything?
I thought it was a bit of a damp squib, to be honest. I thought it was, if you didn't know better, it just seemed like a load of latecomers trickling into the ground. I had expected a couple of things. I thought they would come in and make an entrance. I thought they would be fairly vocal in how they came in. I don't know if maybe there was a thought process of you don't want it to negatively impact on the players. I don't know, but I felt as though it almost passed unnoticed. If you weren't watching for it and hadn't been hugely aware of it, I'm not sure that you would have given it too much attention. I expected maybe a tifo, some kind of singing. It didn't go. It didn't come to fruition on that 12th minute.
They did sing Sack the Board
throughout the game.
Yeah.
There were sporadic moments throughout the game where you had all that kind of singing, and I think that is now what you're going to get. That is now, I suspect, over the course of the next few weeks, regardless of what's going on the park, I think that's what you're going to have off it, no matter how well the team are performing.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, I think everybody's debating, you know, how long this goes on. I mean, if anything, we mentioned before the game, the board had managed to galvanise the Celtic support, and there's a lot of them now very unhappy and making their feelings known. Will that prompt change? I have my doubts. I've yet to be convinced that this board will relinquish any kind of power whatsoever. I think they'll ride the storm out and hope that suddenly positive results in Europa League will make everybody forgive and forget. I don't see any change. There may well be dialogue, there may well be communication, but other than that, there'll be a form of tokenism, and then nobody's moving, nobody's getting the sack or giving up their shares and saying goodbye. Okay, we're giving it to another company, Ruffy. And I think everybody, and the significant thing was at the end of the game, Brendan Rodgers waved to the fans, and they were all to a man, women and child, for me, behind him. He's managed to engineer the perfect PR on this.
Yeah, he's done it right from the start, from the whole carry on. You know, he's batted it towards the board. It's I've done my bit. It's up to them. They've failed in their bit. If they don't change, I mean, you're adamant he's going to leave at the end of the season. If they don't change their ways, he is going to leave. You know, that's going to be one of the reasons. He's already commented and saying the reason I left the last time was you never backed me. I came back here to take us further in Europe, and you're not backing me now. So if you don't back me, there's no chance of him signing another contract unless they change it.
In those comments, though, as well, when you're saying I'm being briefed against and this happened the last time, you think, well, why would you stay? You know, why would you want a new contract? It raises as many questions as answers, those kind of comments, I think. Also, I think sometimes you have to boil it down. You have to look at what's in front of you and say, that Celtic team should still have had enough to beat Almaty. They should still be in the Champions League.
Yeah, he's ducking and diving, though, with various questions. I watched his interview after the Sky Sports, the reporter at Sky Sports was interviewing him, and he was very clever in the way he worded the conversation that he was having with Michael Nicholson, it was almost a distancing to say, I'm concentrating on team affairs. When he went into the press conference, this is what he had to say on that chat. Michael's a good man. I have a really good relationship with him and Chris Mackay. They're the guys I deal with day to day. We all know what we need to assess and be better at. Look at Sebastian Tinecki. We have him in when we wanted to have him in. It could be different for him if he'd have come in earlier, obviously, was what he was alluding to. These are things we need to find clarity on and be better at. In the meantime, the concentration is on football. And he dodged the whole situation where I think there is this almost, it's the San Andreas fault, it's a crack in the relationship where he's got to now start to think, as he always has, I've got to think of Brendan Rodgers PLC rather than Celtic, because he's got to think about himself, any kind of damage to reputation, what he's been arguing over which they haven't delivered, and he's got to word it carefully so that he doesn't suffer what I would think would be the wrath of Dermot eventually.
Yeah, also I think he will see out his contract. I think he will remain at the helm until the end of the season. So it's probably in his interest and everyone else's interest in terms of the club to focus things on what's going on the park rather than the mess that's engulfed them off it, and the civil war that's quite clearly still at play. It's not going to quieten anytime soon. This will continue. These questions will continue because the Celtic support will make sure that it stays front and centre, because you will hear them at every home game and at home and away games voicing their disapproval. So I think his immediate job just now will be on, I need to manage the effect that this is having on my players and on the team. I need to try and turn a blind ear to it, while I think being appreciative of the fact that there is probably all sorts going on behind the scenes in terms of being at loggerheads with the board.
But you see, the thing about the whole mess, he knows whose fault it is. You know, we're all sort of, not guessing, but having a wee bit of, was it the recruitment, was it the board no backing him, was it this, was it that? He will know 100% whose fault all this shambles is. He'll know who it is to blame. He'll not be taking the blame for it. But I know he'll know personally who it is.
Yeah, you're talking about the man who was the mole.
No, not particularly the mole. I mean the carry on and not bringing players in and missing the deadline and all that carry on. He'll know whose job that is.
The debriefing to a Sun reporter didn't help things. I mean, as Chris Sutton mentioned the other day, it did throw fuel onto the fire.
Unquestionably, and it's the response to that is very interesting, because the day after that story, or was it later on that day when the statement came out, the 1,000-word statement last weekend, there was no mention of that story. There has been no wish from the club to distance themselves from that story.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is why I think there's a clear rift, there's a bit of chess playing going on. The other part of it, which I am intrigued to see how it develops, is what effect the Celtic supporters will have on this board. I have said for weeks and weeks that this is a board well used to power, well used to swatting away anyone who voices their displeasure, which I've had first-hand experience at, and they do it to anyone who gets in their way. They will not relinquish power. They've had it for so long, and they will not be told by, I think, a group of supporters that they're going to have to give it up. Now, interestingly enough, I applaud the Celtic fans for all getting together on this. Where it goes, I'm not sure. We've got one person on here says, Peter, this isn't going away. Thousands of fans mobilised in a couple of weeks. Sunday was just the start. Peter Lawwell might be the sacrificial lamb, but they all won't get away with it. Brian says, Peter, Brendan Rodgers is saying he wants a new contract, knowing fine well he'll be leaving. He wants to be everything to everyone. There's so many people who've got their opinion on it. What effect the fans will have on change, and a change of attitude and strategy and better communication, a change of the way they go about their business. only time will tell. As far as the game's concerned, which amazingly we haven't actually had a chat about, boy, they were lucky. I mean, I just looked at the game and I thought, come on, that's never a penalty. I tweeted it out, and by the way, as ever, you know, 1,000,001 Celtic fans gave me an absolute kicking. It was never a penalty.
Not for me. Not for me. I think it is so harsh. It's a deflection that then hits his body, and I see the argument about his body being in an unnatural position. I'm not sure how else you can go in. He goes to make a block. It's instinctive. It's not. I think it's very, very harsh. I actually thought the one, was it Robbie D's? I thought there was an earlier handball that maybe looked more likely than the one that was actually given. But
if Stuart Kettlewell's right, that they had a meeting at the beginning of the season, they were told by the referees that if it was a deflection off somebody, you had to take it into consideration. And what we need now is Willie Collum to come out, not at the end of the month or anything like that, tomorrow, the next day. Tell us how you came to that decision.
Well,
if you say you made it wrong, then you can deal with it.
Yeah, it's always better to hear the manager highlight the point that Ruffy's talking about. Here's Stuart Kettlewell.
She's at such close proximity, the ball's not going into the net, etc, etc, etc. I was told that if it ricochets from half a yard, and by the way I'm being generous, but half a yard between two of our players, and it ricochets up off somebody's hand, then they're not going to give them as penalties. That's what I was told, so I need to ask the question again. Somebody will need to tell me why that's given us a penalty today.
Yeah, he's clearly unhappy about it, and that adds another dimension to it, Alison, because quite simply, you know, people, Celtic fans will say his hands are up, it's a penalty. Then all of a sudden people say, wait a minute, how can I get my hands out of the road if it's a yard away and it comes up off someone?
I also think he didn't think his hand was up like that. You know, I think it's just part of the...
I thought it was up, but the problem here is...
I don't think it's as high as that. It's like,
no, I thought it was like that.
It's as you're moving...
Ruffy, don't take us down that road, really. The positioning of his arms. The point I'm trying to make is Stuart Kettlewell has added another dimension to it, which is quite simply, he's been told that type of incident will not result in a penalty.
Yeah, I think he'll clearly want a bit of... he'll want answers. He'll want an explanation off Willie Collum, but you have to say, John Beaton goes over, he looks at the monitor, what is it that he is seeing then?
What is being told?
Or what is he being told that leads you to the decision? What is it that influenced his decision? What is the thinking behind giving it?
Let's hear what the VAR man says. And also, if he can't make a call in 60 seconds, let the referee decide. Let's move it on and stop slowing the game down. We're now at the point where there's a generation who are actually saying, you know what, we're actually going to sit here for 5 minutes and wait to see what happens in the game. Quicker decisions. And
I thought it was. I didn't think he took too long. I thought he was fairly quick at coming to the decision. I didn't think it was an overly long wait before he pointed to the spot. But I think too, when you see referees go over to the monitor, invariably you know what's coming. I think 9 times out of 10 you're seeing a penalty given.
Dyson Maeda doesn't need to justify himself. He scored. He put himself there in the mix. Young David Watson as well with another bullet. I don't think you wouldn't have saved that at your best, would you?
No, you would need to have very, very quick reflexes to react to that one.
Yeah. Overall, I think if you're talking about positives, I mean, Celtic get the 3 points, whether they're lucky or not, they get the 3 points. They're 9 points clear. We've been digesting and discussing and debating and being very critical sometimes of some of the signings that Celtic do make. So let's have a bit of balance here. The boy, Sebastian Tonecki, he looked the business.
I thought he was one of the positives for Celtic on what was a fairly forgettable performance, really. I thought Celtic were pretty staid again. I thought they laboured throughout the game. I thought he was one of the few that looked positive, that looked quite bright, looked as though he was trying to do something positive whenever he got the ball. But I think Celtic overall, their league position maybe tells a different story, but they still look ponderous, I think, as a team, Celtic.
Yeah, thanks to so many of you for posting your messages. We try and read them, look at them and assess and read out as quickly as we can. They come through, as you can see, Alison, on our feed so quickly. I try and
Put my
pick them
specs
out.
on if I'm going to
Well,
say
don't
them.
put your specs on, because there's people, Les clearly has decided to use all the vocabulary from a Quentin Tarantino movie. So if you are posting a message, try and keep it decent. And as ever, it's such an emotive subject, this, whether it's Rangers or Celtic, and we have highlighted the fact, fair play to Hearts, they are up there at the top, and Killie, they deserve credit as well, because Stuart Kettlewell may well have raised a few eyebrows getting back into the game as the manager there, but I'll tell you, there's one player they've got that I really like the look of, the big guy, Dackers. He looks about 6'5", but he's got the touch of a winger.
Yeah, and he's given young blood a chance. He's already said that if there's any young boys at the training who show that they're good enough for the first team, I'm going to play with them. I think that's encouraging. You know, I think he's the boy Watson who scored the goal. He's one of those that come through the ranks. And yeah, I think that they're very well organised. There's no doubt about that. You know, I just don't think they have the killer instinct up front.
Yeah. Okay, elsewhere, Aberdeen 0, Livingston 0. There is a guy, Ruffy, who is on TikTok down in England. And basically last year he said he wasn't going to cut his hair until Manchester United won 5 consecutive games. Now, I get a strong feeling that if an Aberdeen fan says I'm not going to cut my hair until Aberdeen score a goal in the league, then we could have an Alan Rough hairstyle from 1978.
Or the boy who was the boy stranded in the island, in Treasure Island, had the long hair.
Yeah.
Couldn't get his hair cut. I'll come to me.
Robinson Crusoe.
No, it was somebody else.
Was it Jeff, one of your mates, who's taking a
I'll
flight out there?
No, come to me. Don't worry. I'll come back.
Yeah.
No.
Anyway.
No Rapunzel, no him, no.
No, not
Is it a woman?
Rapunzel was a woman.
Did you shave long hair?
Yeah, she did. Anyway, where we're going with this, I don't know. But here's Jimmy Tilleen and David Martindale on that 0-0 bore.
We share the frustration from the fans. We feel the same. It is a frustrating period right now with the way the rhythm of the team. So we have to do much more. They are arriving a lot of numbers here today to see the game. And our job, my job and the players' job is to give them the spirit and the feeling from the team. And right now we don't do that.
It's a difficult venue. I'm not having Aberdeen are going to be where they are for a lot of this league. I think they're spoiling. For their latest probably 3-4 signings have been very good, and he signed a good bout before that. Spent a lot of money as well, so I imagine they'll kick on up the league and they'll start picking points up once they get these players up to match fitness.
Well, it sounds as if you could be describing the Rangers team there, David Martindale, because quite simply, Aberdeen have spent a lot of money on players. They have backed their manager, but it's still woeful. And, while the madness of Celtic and Rangers continues, it's brilliant for Jimmy Tilleen because it's taken everybody's eyes right off him, Ruffy.
It's taken eyes off him, maybe down here, but not in Aberdeen. I noticed the flags had stopped flying up there.
Yeah.
So things aren't going particularly well. There's no the usual 100 flags. There was only a couple of wee guys with a couple of wee ones.
Yeah.
So things aren't going well up there. He needs to get wins as well, there's no doubt about it. I liked the boy Carlson. I thought he looked a good addition. But apart from that,
they had 5 or 6 chances to win the game. I mean, Livingston weren't really in it.
No, you're right. Sometimes you're at a team, things just don't happen for you, and you keep saying it's going to happen, it's going to come, but it has to come very quickly for some teams.
The Dons, is he on a shaky?
I think he's got to be. I think the Scottish Cup win buys a bit of credit for so long, but at some point, I think pressure builds. At some point, inevitably, you start to run out of road.
Yeah, okay. Aberdeen fans, give us your thoughts on that. Is he under pressure as the Dons manager? Is it a case of he'll be getting the dreaded vote of confidence shortly or not? Up at Dens Park, Dundee 1, Motherwell 1. And I have to say, Ruffy, after I'm going to hold my hands up here, after my tremendous excitement at watching Motherwell and thinking, wow, this is great football to watch, I'm now thinking to myself, you can't keep drawing games.
No, and unfortunately for the Dundee manager, he was 45 minutes away from boos erupting around the stadium, but they had a better better second half of that game, but I think the two teams just played each other out. You know, I don't think it was anyone who really should have won that game more than the others.
Simon Murray missed a sitter. I mean, it was literally in front of goal.
No, I saw
Put
it was
your mortgage
sclaffed
on
it, yeah.
Yeah.
Last year, sometimes strikers have great seasons and then the next season nothing happens for them early on.
Yeah, the red card, I must admit they're appealing it, but Jan Danda, he must be looking and thinking, how the hell am I getting sent off for that?
No, I didn't think it was a red. Not for me.
No. Here's Stephen Presley and Jens Berthel Askau.
Not to the levels that we want, far from it. Didn't really execute what we had worked towards. A little bit fragmented, you know, certain personnel not carrying out the detail, but also lessons from myself within that. And then with a change of shape in the second half, I thought we were much better.
And especially for the players and the fans, I know it will come. And that's my last message. It will come, because this team is doing so much more good and right than wrong. And when we get the final moments right, we will be very difficult to stop winning.
Well, we shall see. Certainly got a player in Mazvanisi, I like him.
Yeah, even last year we could see in bits of the games he's got something a wee bit special, and particularly when he gets in the box, he's very, very hard to defend against, and he's certainly scoring fantastic goals as well.
Right, I know I might take it, and I try and, you know, lighten the mood sometimes on the programme. You've got that worried look in your face, Ali. But I have to say, I might become a Hibs fan now, Ruffy, because they're wearing the hoops.
It'd be interesting if they wear them next week at Ibrox.
I don't think they'll get the bottle to do that. You never know. By the way, what a tifo at Easter!
Oh, unbelievable! I didn't know it was
honestly
150-year celebration this year. It is fantastic. It just shows you what the club's all about just now. They've upped their game, not on the park, but off the park as well. I think if you ask anybody who goes into the stadium now from what it was, it's just an amazing place to be.
Yeah. Well, what did you make of the 150th? Tam actually, he mentioned it on Friday.
He certainly did, and we all poo-pooed him. Yeah, so it just shows you.
We didn't poo-poo him.
I did.
He sounds like somebody out of Blackadder, doesn't he? But by the way...
Stop clock tells us 8:10 twice a day.
Yeah, 150 years. Yeah. The celebration. What did you make of the top? It was on sale this morning at 10 o'clock.
It was sold out within 10 minutes.
Is that
10
right?
minutes.
Yeah.
Sold out.
Well, there you are.
Yeah, I liked it.
Did you try and get on?
It was one of our friends who's a big Hibby.
Is that right?
It was sold out within 10 minutes.
I mean, that's fantastic.
Great, brilliant. Just shows you the marketing. They've obviously looked into it, and they're giving the supporters what they want.
And the sort of build up to it all around the city. You know, like we clues all around the city and the build up to
Which
the
is
game.
great, isn't it? Yeah. And the other thing about it was, Ruffy, I watched the game and boy did I enjoy it. That's the type of game where you sit down and you think, you know, I'll tell you how good a game it was. I was supposed to go and pick up my daughter, and I put on the hush puppy eyes and said to my wife, is there any chance you could go, because this game is magnificent? And
And it worked?
It did. The eyes, you know, once you get to that, you know, you had me at hello. It was just one of those. It was
What's the payoff?
Steady now.
This isn't the first game you've been raving about.
I mean, it was
every game you go to, you know, you were up at Tannadice, this one, the Motherwell, the Hearts Motherwell game. So it just shows you how positive our game is just now, the games that we're getting.
Well, funny you should say that, because I'm just going to read you this, Ruffy. For the third year in a row, football fans across Scotland have recorded the highest top-flight attendances per capita in Europe. The UEFA have acknowledged that, you know, Scottish football fans are going out there in great numbers. Now, I'm going to temper that and I'm going to get criticism for it, but we are watching a greatly reduced product at times. In the level of European football, it's not great, but what we are watching at the level they're producing, I say, well done Hibs and Dundee United. It was a fantastic game. This is what David Gray and Jim Goodwin had to say about it.
And I'm sure Jim will be sitting saying that, you know, to score 3 goals away from home and not to win the game, they'll be feeling like they've probably dropped a couple of points. So I think across the piece, that could have been 6-6, it could have been anything at the end of that. So I think from our point of view, a lot of things to work on, and the positive to take out of it is we never lost again.
I'm sitting here at the moment, and it certainly feels like we've dropped a couple of points this evening. Obviously we shot ourselves in the foot with the first goal that Hibs get. It's a mistake. At the end of the day, these things can happen. With the goalkeeper situation, we want him to be brave. We want him to come for crosses. He just hasn't got any purchase on the ball, trying to punch it.
Yeah, Kucherenko and also Jordan Smith made the great game, because the two of them in the last couple of weeks,
it's one of the reasons why you shouldn't come for crosses. You get fun at it. You end up doing something stupid. Let the idiots in front of you deal with the crosses.
Yeah, I have to say, Ruffy, the two goalkeepers.
You're either confident in what you're doing, and when you go into a ruck of players, you've got to be bang on. And unfortunately, the boy was getting bullied, by Bashiri was in there and another couple, and he took his eye off the ball. But I mean, I don't know what the feeling would be like if you punched the ball into your own net.
Yeah, absolutely. You've never done that?
I've never done that. I would never wish that on anybody, particularly if your manager had been very old, because you wouldn't have seen the next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, fair play to Hibs, because they don't know when they're beaten. They were going at it hammer and tong. And then, of course, Dundee United, for me, I mean, I've thoroughly enjoyed watching his side. Although there's a bit of criticism that's come Jim's way, and I think, you can take it on the chin if they keep winning, that they'd like to see more Scots in their team. But the boys that he's brought in, I mean, I love the boy Kamara. I just, he's again like Dakars, tall, rangy, puts in a tackle, and he can play a bit as well. Great to watch United and Hibs.
I think both have a philosophy of trying to go and win games. You can see that what they're trying to do. It's a very positive identity within both of them. Both of them have exciting forwards. They've got players that can cause problems, that can cause a bit of excitement, but also both are quite porous at the back.
Yeah,
boy for Liverpool's good. Stevenson, the boy scored
Lucas Stevenson, great.
He's got a future ahead of him.
Yeah,
he looked really good.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think they did really well to get him back on that loan deal. The other game, Falkirk 1, St Mirren 2, and as I mentioned to you, one of the top managers in the division, Ruffy, just keeps on producing. This is what John McGlynn and Stephen Robinson had to say after the Saints took all 3 points.
The second goal is just horrendous from our point of view. It's a throw in. We just made a couple of changes. Whether that had anything to do with it or not, I don't know. We switch off, whether we just think they're going to take a long throw, but either way, we've got players turning their back, walking away. And it's far too simple, and of course there's a free header in the box as well. So the second goal it's Sunday pub team football goal we lose.
To have that travelling support was fantastic. They're following us everywhere. They've bought into everything this team are doing. They're enjoying the football. It's energetic. It's good. It's a good style of play, and we're enjoying it at the moment.
We should be singing from the high heavens for teams and managers who want to play football a certain way.
Yeah, most definitely, and these two teams come into that, and I would focus on it. If you can think you back to when St Mirren scored their first goal, it was the whole team, the celebration. You could see on their faces they're playing as a team. They're all in for each other, and that goal epitomised that for me. And they were just right over to their fans, and well done to the Falkirk fans as well. They've filled that stadium. So yeah, if they continue to do that and give us entertainment, that's all you're looking for.
Hugh says, and Hugh on a number of occasions does make some really good points. He says it's up to Dundee United how they populate their team, jocks or no jocks. Which again, I'm not going to criticise Hugh for that opinion on it. The problem is, Ali, and we were talking about it today, which is something that I think lots of people discuss, is the fact that homebred players, if they're not being cherry-picked by England and away in Europe as well, which is great for us and hopefully for the international side, a lot of the homebred players are proving to be too expensive for the clubs at home to try and buy.
Yeah, we were having an interesting conversation about the impact of Brexit and what that's meant for the English market and how they're coming up and maybe cherry-picking a lot of Scottish talent, and also the fact that some of these foreign players can be cheaper to bring in, cheaper to recruit because of that. Ultimately, though, when you look at Jim Goodwin, when he goes to assemble a team, his modus operandi is to get a tune out of the players that he's got, get them playing into the system he wants to play, and to be as successful as possible. His remit is not to say, I will develop and bring in young Scottish players. I'm sure in an ideal world you would want to, and you'd want to contribute to that, but ultimately his aim, he's judged on the performances of his team. He needs to get the best collection of players that buy into what he wants to do, and that then can go out and implement the way he wants his side to play.
Okay, I posed a question at the start of the programme, Ali, and I want you to answer it now. Is this the year when one team can emerge and split Celtic and Rangers?
No, not for me now.
Even with a 9-point deficit?
Well, what did Aberdeen have at one point last season too? No, I just think...
Yes, but
I think over...
Hearts will get Derek McInnes, not Jimmy
Over
Tamine.
the course of the campaign, I think Rangers and Celtic have too much for anyone else. When you look at resources, if it comes to January and that's under threat, that position is under threat, they can go out and they can spend money to come in and strengthen their hand, more money than other teams round about them can. I think what's happening at Rangers just now will not continue for the duration of the campaign, one way or another. Yeah. It's not going to be allowed to drift that they're picking up no points. There will either be a change in management or there will be a change in performance levels. But over the course of the campaign until May, I think Celtic will win the league. I think they've got enough to win the league. I've not been hugely impressed by the football and show from Celtic, but I still think they're probably the best team in the league, and I think Rangers will finish second.
At what point is it insurmountable? It's 9 points at the moment. What
9 points
your
isn't
mind?
Insurmountable.
Well, I'm just saying to you, where's the point?
If it was maybe 9 points February, March, perhaps.
Perhaps, but is it 12 or 15?
I think 9 points can be a valid gap to start considering it, depending on which point of the campaign. I don't think that's in September.
What about October, November? 12 points, 15?
No. 12, 15. I think you need to be looking at it February, March.
You're getting boxed into a corner here. You're getting boxed in.
Sorry, you're still in February, March.
I just don't think.
Okay, Ruffy.
I agree with everything Alison's just said. 100%.
Yeah.
Over the year, I think Rangers and Celtic have got far too much.
Okay. Listen, a couple of things.
Are you still going with yours?
Yeah. Well, listen, we all had a prediction. I think Hearts will finish second. I think they've got a good manager, good team. I think he'll sign more players in January. And if Rangers board allow this to drift and stick with this man, there will be fans revolt and they'll be in big trouble.
The problem that Hearts might have too is that they've got a couple of players there that you think could get cherry picked off as well. Braga has made a sensational start to the season. Yeah. You think if someone comes in with a big offer in January?
I know a lot of people criticise me, and Tam's very, very vocal in his criticism of me with Hearts. So let's look at the team of the week, which has got 6 Hearts players in it. Okay, Swallow in goal, Milne, fantastic. Halkett, fit and doing the business. Stuart Finlay, again, magnificent. I love Luke Graham at Dundee. I think somebody will sign him in the window. Dundee will get money for him. Tunetke, the one shining light in a day of anger surrounding Celtic. He's the real deal. I thought he took players on. Wow. I can't believe I'm talking about a winger who actually does what it says on the tin. I'm a winger. Beat players. Tunetke was good. David Watson's the star for Kilmarnock. Cammy Devlin continues to shine for me. He demands the ball. He wants it. He wants to move forward. Midfielders, there's a thing. Wingers that beat players and midfielders who pass the ball forward. It'll never catch on, Ruffy. Lucas Stevenson just again for United, fantastic. And the two up front I picked, Shanklin and Mazwanisi. Does it get any better than that team? Only one Celtic player, and again for the third week in a row, not one single Rangers player in that team of the week.
No, I don't think I can complain with that team at all. There's nobody jumps out and would take over from them. Good 11.
Yeah, not bad. What do you think of it? You disagree? You agree? Have we missed somebody along the way? Don't forget, we want you to come and join us and hit the subscribe button on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. We'd love you to be on board. And also, if you want to sign up to Premium, you'll get additional content, giveaways, competitions. Doesn't get any better than the one we're launching today. A chance to sign up for Premium and you'll enter into our competition to head to Budapest for the 2026 Champions League final. You and your mates will get flights and accommodation as part of the package, 2 tickets to the final in Hungary at the Puskás Arena. I mean, you're in the hat. If you're up there and you're signed up for the season, Ruffy, you get a chance to go to the Champions League final. I was there with Hugh. I was in the press box, but Hugh took his son along, and it was a fantastic weekend at Wembley.
Yeah, as I said earlier, I think Budapest is a place where everybody wants to go now. It's a new place. I think the prices are very, very good.
You know what?
I don't know, it's quite a central role in Europe.
No, I'm saying if you're going there.
It's a new place.
No, I'm saying no.
You've come up with a classic line that Davy Provan and I were commentating for Radio Clyde, and we're with Derek, and we're saying, it was great going around Athens, and Derek says, I didn't like it. There's a lot of buildings that were ruined and wrecked and everything, and I thought to myself, there you go, and there's Budapest.
No, it's Budapest. It's a new place. Weekend.
What does it do?
No, it's a new weekend place to go.
Oh, the new weekend place to go.
It's a big spa place.
Exactly. And is it? Yeah. There you are.
Can I see us in a spa?
No, exactly. Anyway, good luck entering the competition. All you have to do is sign up to PLZ Premium, and we're going to give you some really good interviews over the next couple of weeks. I promise you that. Early access to lots of great content as well. It's been one of those shows today. Who would have thought? 2 sets of unhappy fans, but one team who are 9 points clear at the top of the table, with big questions over the board, and big questions also with another team and their board. Are they going to sack their manager? At Ibrox, Russell Martin hanging on by his fingernails. Jimmy Talleen, what's the future for him? And also this week we'll keep you right up to date with all the stories as they emerge from every club. Our reporters are out there at the press conferences, breaking news as well at your fingertips if you download the app too. And if you want to get some trendy stuff from our shop, you can do. Thanks for listening and watching.
Welcome to the PLZ Soccer Shop. 20 football legends, one incredible collection, canvas, prints, t-shirts. Pele, Maradona, Cruyff, Messi, Ronaldo. Wear them, frame them, celebrate them. From the pitch to your wall, they're yours. The Legends Collection, only at the PLZ Soccer Shop. Click the link and get yours now.